Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line right now.
Yes, indeed.
Just had a great Father's Day, I should say Father's Day Sunday. John Legend, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, how was your Father's Day? Let's start off with that. How was your Father's Day? How was that?
Father's Day was good. Chrissy surprised me. She had a catered dinner in the backyard just for me. And we hadn't been on a real date since the quarantine started. So we had a date in the backyard, and she treated me like a king for Father's Day. It was nice.
It must be nice weekend, man. You did the verses on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big weekend. Album release Friday, verses on Friday, and then we had a special for Father's Day on ABC last night.
Mm-hmm. It must be nice to have all that great food in the house too during this quarantine. So how are you balancing that out? Because Chrissy's a great cook.
Well, we was going in the first few weeks, and then after a while, you're like, okay, I can't be acting like this is not real life, because it's still real life. So I got back to normal. I got back to normal after the first few weeks.
Well, let's talk about the verses. Oh.
I was gonna say, what is it like to release an album? You released the album on Friday. What is it like to release an album in this time, in these days?
Well, it's different. You know, we used to being out, like we used to going out to do promotion, used to playing in front of audiences and all these other things. So everything we've been doing has been no audience. A lot of it's been from home, doing these interviews from home. I normally be in New York with y'all. So everything's different, but we're making it work.
Can you put out music that isn't a soundtrack for what's going on right now, though?
Yeah, you know, I thought about that because I was writing it before all this stuff happened. I wrote it mostly in 2019. I wrote a few joints like in January and February of this year. And then I was done writing and I felt like I had a dope album by, beginning of March. And then as soon as March comes around, everybody's on lockdown and the whole world changed. So the question is, do you scrap all of that and try to make something that's right in this moment, or do you give people what you made, which is what I made? It was an album that's more loving and joyful and hopeful. But some of the songs feel more appropriate now than they did, last year. I have a song at the end of the album called Never Break that feels like it's an anthem for this moment when, people are going through so much conflict and crisis. The idea that we have to be resilient still, I think, is even more resonant now.
And love and family, I think, is really important right now as well. So as much as we can say, with everything that's happening in the world, it is important because a lot of us are at home quarantining with our families. And then I think the support of people who love you can also help you out so much mentally right now.
Yeah, and, the summer has just begun, and I felt like these songs are good summer songs. They are feel-good songs. And people are, I think carefully opening back up, hopefully people are still wearing masks and all those things that they need to do when they're out in public, but people still want to enjoy themselves and be lifted by music. And I felt like this album could do that for them.
Now you said this was the sexiest album you ever made. So this is a lot of baby making music.
Yes. For those who are interested in making Corona babies, I feel like we definitely got that covered. We got, some more like up-tempo, feel-good songs you can dance to as well. And some songs that will inspire you, So I think it's a good mix.
I think it was great marketing to actually do the verses on the same day that the album came out. It makes perfect sense because that makes,
I mean, it's been clear that every verses has been good for the artist. Just to, a lot of the artists, haven't been making a lot of new music. So it brought them back to people's attention. Me and Alicia, we're kind of different because we're still making music these days and still making releases and all this stuff. And so, either way, though, it just brings attention to what you've been doing. But most of my verses, I spent, educating people on what I had done in the past, many years ago. Some of the stuff I played was from 1999, 2003, just letting people know that I was behind the scenes doing my thing even before you first heard Get Lifted.
Yeah, I didn't know that you was on Everything Is Everything.
Yeah, that was the first record I
I
ever
didn't know
played
that.
on.
I didn't know that. Really?
How did Lauren
That's
find
a
you?
big-
How did that come about?
So there was a girl named Tara Michelle. I was directing this church choir while I was in college. So part of the way I paid for like my expenses in school was I was uh, the director of music at this church, and one of the choir members was a girl who had gone to school with Lauryn Hill, and she was like, "I'm about to go to the studio. She's working on her solo album. Do you want to come to the studio with me?" And so I went to the studio with her and just chilling, literally not trying to get in the way. You know when you be in the studio with artists that are trying to create and you don't even know them, you just be trying to like, let me stay out of the way. But she was like, "John, why don't you play a couple songs for her, because I want her to hear, what you can do." And so I played one of my own songs, a song called Too Late. And then I played a Stevie Wonder song. And then she's like, Lauren was like, "Why don't you play on this record we're working on now?" So I played piano on the record. And that was the first major recording I was a part of.
Wow.
Did you do it for free?
I got $500 and my name is in the credits.
on a
I was happy.
album.
Exactly. I was very happy with that. That's all I needed.
Right. Now let's talk about the versus battle a little bit, because obviously you and Alicia Keys have worked together. You guys are friends. So how did y'all even decide? Because I know you both have been talking about it for quite some time, and we kind of had a feeling it was going to happen. So what solidified that?
Well, I think what solidified it, I was doing radio for my new music, and I think I was talking to Nick Cannon, and he was like, "Well, who would you do a versus with?" And I was like, "I feel like the one that would make the most sense would be Alicia Keys." And I said, "In fact, I think we should play it live." I was like, do some of the songs on the piano to piano. And Swizz and Alicia saw it, and Swizz hit me up. He called me, and then we talked about it, and that was it. I was like, "My bad for calling your wife out in public." But it would be good, so let's do it. And everybody was into it, and we knew from the beginning that it was all love, because we really respect each other, and we just wanted it to be a celebration. And then we had the idea to do it on Juneteenth, and Instagram was down to do it then. They were going to make a donation to support some justice initiatives that day, and we just felt like it would be a great celebration of Black music, and just celebration of our respect for each other's careers. And so we it was on, and we just collabed. We did everything. It was just all love and a celebration.
Right. What did y'all say about Teddy Riley's Wi-Fi? What did you say about Teddy Riley's Wi-Fi? You said something, because Teddy Riley was like, "John Legend is all joke." What did you say about Teddy Riley's Wi-Fi?
Y'all gotta leave Teddy Riley alone, man.
I just when I had a technical moment, because the track wasn't playing properly, I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do a Teddy Riley here." I was just playing with him. I love Teddy, and he had a rough time getting it together sometimes for the versus battle. But I think Swizz and everybody have worked it out, so everybody's technical aspects are a little more on point now, and they had us set up so there were no major problems.
Now, I know it was all love, but who won? Who do you think won? Because I'm not gonna lie, I picked Alicia to watch you. I picked Alicia, not because you're not super talented, John, but just Alicia got a lot of records.
Alicia has a lot of records. I think she has more solo hits than I have, but I think what I was able to show people was I was doing records that they didn't even know I was a part of. And I think that's what the cool thing about Versus is you can show people the behind the scenes work you did as well. And so I think, people are going to judge what they're going to judge. And so you let the people decide. But I thought it was fairly even, and I loved our collaborations. I just thought it was a good night for music.
It was dope.
Looking back, are there some songs you're like, "Man, I missed this one," or "I should have played this one also"?
Not really. Honestly, I felt like I played the right songs. There's like one or two that were on the bubble for me that I could have played one or the other, but I didn't feel like it would have made a big difference. I felt like I picked the right joints.
Now, how difficult is it to quarantine with the kids around? Because I know you couldn't do that versus at the crib because the kids would be all over the place. How difficult is it to try to do an interview or try to get some work done with the kids running in and out?
Oh, they don't care about your interview. They don't care about any scheduling you have. My daughter will just run in here and try to sit on my lap. And she's like, luckily it's only 6 a.m. over here. So she's still upstairs in bed. But yeah, they don't care.
At least, and you know what? I was going to say also with the homeschooling, right? I'm sure that a lot of people right now are considering actually homeschooling after having to deal with that at home. And I know you were homeschooled so as well. So what do you have to say about that with the kids and teaching them from home?
I'm like, as soon as they can go back to school, please go back to school.
So that's
I understand completely.
Listen, John, let's talk about the new album. You got Bigger Love. What does that phrase mean to you?
It's well, the album is joyful, it's full of love and songs about, you know, resilience and hope and just making it work through all the challenges.
And you guys
No,
you go ahead.
I was gonna ask.
There's a delay. There's a delay, so we end up talking over each other all the time.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about the Zoom stuff.
I've been doing a lot of Zoom interviews. I understand. I just wait till the sentence is complete.
I was gonna ask you with Chrissy. I see y'all play a lot. Does it ever go too far? Like, babe, you're going too far. You call me that name, and enough is enough. You can't be calling me names like that. Does it ever go that far?
She calls you a bitch a lot, John.
Sheesh.
She does not call me a bitch a lot. I do recall what you're talking about when she was mad about the song lyric, and she said bitch to me, and I was like, come on now.
Come on now. You can't say it to her though, let's be clear. There's a whole nother story.
But that is not a normal part of our conversation. So
not even in the bedroom if y'all getting spicy?
No.
He said no.
She's never like, yeah,
that's not part of our love language.
Hey, for some people it is.
Now I also see that you guys.
I was gonna about the album. I was gonna say I like how you started it off with a nice little throwback to doo-wop sounds. I thought that was really sweet. So, what made you decide to do that?
Well, that song Oak Felder produced, and when we talked about it, he was like, we should do a song where doo-wop meets trap. And so we got some 808s, we got the doo-wop vocals, the I Only Have Eyes for You sample, and it works. It's just a perfect track to open up the album. It's fresh, it feels good, it's sexy, and it's a beautiful beginning to the album.
Yeah, it's different. I like the way it started.
Was it a dream of yours to have Raphael Sadiq executive produce the album? Is that something you
well, we've been working together for the last few years because we did the whole Christmas album together. And I've worked with him since back in 2006. And he worked on my second album with me on Once Again, just on a couple tracks. But I love Raphael. We have great chemistry, great energy in the studio. He's one of the great musicians of all time, and soul music especially. But you know, when we had a groove going with the Christmas music and everything, I just wanted to keep it going. And so I asked him to executive produce the album. And of course, he was willing to do that. So we kept a lot of the same team together, the string arrangers, the engineers, everybody. We just did it all at the same studio that we did the Christmas album at. So it was just, you know, a continuation of what we had already been doing.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
I was just waiting for the delay to pass. But
okay.
Yeah, we're like giving us a second.
You know, in early June too, John, you said your friendship with Kanye West has evolved. What does that mean?
Well, I was just saying we're in a different place now because I'm not. I had a 5-album deal with Good Music, and that deal is up. So we don't have a direct business relationship anymore. And then he's up in Wyoming most of the time, and we're still cool, but we just really don't see each other that much for work, or, you know, we're not living in the same place. And so it's really not, no
They
beef
made that
about it. It's just
right. They
we're not
made
in the
that a
same
huge
place.
headline. Like, y'all can't stand
Yeah.
each, you know
Well,
what I'm saying? And I
anytime
was like, he didn't say that.
anytime me and Kanye are in the same sentence, or they ask me about Kanye, they pull whatever I say and make a big headline out of it. But I was just saying, we're like literally not in the same place physically, and we don't have an official relationship anymore for work. And so we just see each other less than we used to.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, they was trying to make it about y'all politics being so different.
Yeah, and our politics have been different for a while now, and that is what it is. I'm sure you all have family members or friends that have different politics than you, and you can still love them and care for them and appreciate everything you've done together as well, which I really do. As you could tell from my verses, I'm not shy about being proud of the work we did together, because we did some great work together.
Absolutely.
You think
What
you could
happened with
become
the
friends with somebody now who's a Trump supporter? Like, if you think you would be like real cool with somebody who's a huge Trump supporter?
I mean, a new friend, it'd be different to make a new friend out of somebody. Like me and Kanye got so much history. It's like, you don't just get rid of a friendship
Right.
because of somebody's politics.
Right.
But
Right.
start a new one, I don't know.
Hey, have y'all
Yeah,
ever
I don't
gotten
know.
that knock from the Secret Service? Have you and the wife ever gotten that knock from the Secret Service? Because y'all be going hard
No.
on Twitter sometimes. Well, y'all used to.
No, we never threatened his life. We never said anything about his, anything about his life. We just demeaned his character because he has no character.
Yeah, now your wife is definitely called the president a bitch.
Oh yeah, a pussy ass bitch to be and she really meant it. She meant it very hard.
When your 5-album deal was up, I'm sure they made a play to re-sign you, right?
No, when you sign to a producer's production company at that point in your career, you're like trying to get on, you're trying to be seen, you're just like, you're in a different power position at that point in your career. And partly due to the fact that Kanye helped blow me up, I was in a position where I didn't have to sign through anybody's production company. I could just do my own deal. So, there was never any doubt that I would just sign my own deal after that 5 albums was up. But like I said, I wouldn't be where I am without doing that deal with Kanye. So I have no regrets.
So it was understood that you, after the 5 albums, you were doing your own thing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like anybody would have done that in my position. But again, like, I wouldn't have been in that position were it not for the opportunities that I got.
Absolutely.
What is your thoughts on the word urban now that they're not going to use that at the Grammys anymore?
Well, I always felt like urban was it was like talking around what you were trying to say. I didn't think it was racist or anything, but I always thought it was like kind of saying what you were trying to say, but not really saying it. Because obviously there's a lot of white people that live in urban areas and a lot of black folks that live in the country. So, using urban as a replacement for black just always felt imprecise to me. So I feel like just call it what it is. If it's black music, you call it just call it black music. If it's R&B or soul or reggae or any other our musics that we make, hip hop, call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is this love of blackness that we're seeing from these corporations and the music industry, do you think it's going to last, or do you think it's just a trend?
Well, I think some of it is just a trend. I think, everybody's feeling the pressure right now because people are protesting. People are seeing, genuinely horrific videos of our people getting, suffocated in the streets and all that. So there is clear outrage, and there's a clear moment where people are really paying attention to Black lives. I feel like some of these companies will do these little statements and do these little Instagram posts or whatever, and then go about their regular business. But hopefully some of them will actually change. And to me, change looks like actually hiring Black people and other people of color, having their voices heard in the executive suite. When you look at the photos of the people in charge at most of these media companies and brands, it's just clearly almost all white men. And, for these companies to really show they're serious about making change, I feel like we need to see that change. We need to see like actual inclusion inside the places where the decisions are being made, where the budgets are being determined and the money is being spent, not in an Instagram post.
So how do we make that happen though? Because I believe hope is not a strategy. You believe hope is a strategy. So I can't just.
I think it's part of the strategy. Hope is the fuel. I think part of the fuel that you use to get the work done, because hope means you believe that if I keep working at something, we'll get it done. And so that doesn't mean you don't work. It doesn't mean you just sit there blindly with faith. It means you put in the work to make it happen. And so I think we still have to keep pressuring these companies, these governments, all of them to do the right thing. And that requires tenacity. It requires vigilance. It requires transparency, data, all these things. But hope is part of it.
Mm-hmm. If anything, you can see with all of the tragedies that have been happening, at least right now, there's some policies that are getting done. There's a lot more attention to what's happening, and there's a movement. So I agree with that, because we can't just let things happen and be angry. We have to actually figure out, okay, how can we move forward and improve what's going on here?
Yeah, and if you look at what the activists, people that started Black Lives Matter and, other organizations have been doing, they've been actually working on this stuff, when nobody's really paying attention. So, everybody pays attention to them, when people are protesting in the street. But they've been doing this work literally all this time while, after Michael Brown, they were doing it. After Trayvon, they were organizing. And so they've been getting wins on a smaller level, on a local level, which is where most of these decisions are made. All this time they've been organizing. And so they were ready for this moment. And so that means we have to stay vigilant. We have to continue to organize and be activists and speak up, even when it's not a big moment like this.
And we seen you guys give a couple of $100,000 to the protesters that were locked up to make sure that their lawyers and bail was taken care of.
Yeah, we gave to a bail fund. We also gave to the Movement for Black Lives, which is an organization that encompasses a few different organizations that are part of organizing for the change that we want to see. And then I always give to other organizations that are supporting ending mass criminalization, mass incarceration. And that's an ongoing thing for us and for me particularly.
What do you tell your kids? Because it's all over the news. It's everywhere. What do you say to them at a time like this?
They don't really watch the news yet. My oldest kid is 4, Luna, and so she doesn't really see what's going on. I'm gonna let her stay in her little bubble for just a little while longer. But as she gets older, she'll have to learn about what's going on in the world. She'll have to understand what it means to be Black or mixed with Black. And just she'll have to understand what that means in this country. And hopefully it'll mean something better in the future than it has in the past. But she'll have to learn about what that means.
Have you ever had any run-ins with the police yourself, personally?
Racism that I've experienced?
No, I said, have you ever had any run-ins with the police?
I have had run-ins with the police. Nothing turned violent, but I think what a lot of us have experienced is just being asked to prove that you belong in the place that you are. Like when I was in college, they would just stop me for no reason. Like I would be getting into my car. My car wasn't even that nice, but I was getting into my car. This is in Philadelphia, and the police officer just stopped me and was like, excuse me, can I have your ID and proof that that's your car? Because we've been having a lot of cars stolen. And this is what Black people, go through a lot, especially Black men. It's just having to prove that we're not a criminal. And if I were to mouth off to that person, if I were to be upset that I was even getting pulled over, like, who knows where that could have escalated to. And so we just deal with these, and we almost shrug it off at some point because we're just so used to the fact that we have to prove that we belong places that it gets frustrating sometimes. And you can understand why sometimes brothers will resist, because it's like this ongoing indignity of having to prove that you should exist in the places where you exist and that you're not a threat. It gets frustrating and it gets tiring to have to deal with that. And I've definitely had to deal with it myself.
You know, I was gonna ask how has this quarantine slowed things down at your TV and film production company? You got a very successful production company. I don't know if people know.
Yeah, Get Lifted. We've been putting out some great stuff. We were co-producers on the special last night. We produced a documentary, that series that was on HBO called Atlanta's Missing and Murdered, about the Atlanta child murders. And we have some great stuff that we're working on. We're going to start Rhythm and Flow a little earlier this year, but we've had to push that back a little bit because we have season 2 of Rhythm and Flow coming soon as we can get all the production happening. But that's about to start happening as well. So, you know, some things were delayed, but we're still moving and we're still excited about what we have going. Of course, Sherman Showcase was our comedy music show that we did a Black History Month in June special that aired on Friday as well. And then we just got announced that we got picked up for season 2 for that. So we're excited about that. So we got a lot of things happening and I'm excited for all the work we're doing.
What happened to the Black Wall Street project with Tika Sumpter? Because now I see it's like 3 Black Wall Street documentaries coming out. What happened with that?
Exactly. We were just talking about that with Hulu because we had originally planned to do it with Hulu and then it didn't get picked up. And we literally just wrote an email to our execs at Hulu like, yo, y'all got to pick this up. This is very relevant right now and it needs to be told. You know, with The Watchmen having explored it in the HBO series, with documentaries being made, we feel like it's important that we do a scripted drama for it as well. So hopefully we can resuscitate it, but it was written and didn't get picked up. And so we're gonna try to resuscitate that.
Why didn't they do it? I'm always interested in that type of stuff. Like, of course I know why they want to do it now. Why didn't they want to do it back then?
Who knows? You know, they might. I don't know. I don't know if they got it. Like, I don't think they understood how important the story was to the Black community and how much it's been part of our folklore that we talk about with each other. How important it is for us. And I think now, particularly with Trump trying to do the rally there on that day on Juneteenth, like I think a lot more white people are aware of how significant that moment was to us now. And so I think they'll give it a second look.
Did Hulu reply?
We got a nice reply. We got a nice reply. When I email somebody, they reply.
Okay.
Okay. They want to work.
But you know, we got a nice reply and they're going to look back at it and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thank you, John Legend, for checking in. We appreciate you. Your album is out right now. Bigger Love.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, brother.
Thank
My pleasure.
you.
Blessings.
All righty. It's The Breakfast Club. It's John Legend.